Welcome, I'm Bev Adams. I own an independent paper crafting business showcasing products from Stampin' Up! I made this slimline card with products from Stampin' Up! I sell these products and also a few items to make crafting more convenient. I have the free detailed directions for this project on my website. You'll also find links to all the products that I used, and you can just click the links to be taken to my online store at Stampin' Up! You can find all of that at the end of this video, so don't worry about taking notes. It's time to put stamps, ink, and paper together. I am using the Slim Sayings bundle. It comes with this stamp set that has really large font, which I like very much, and also the Slim Cards dies. And these are pretty long. They're almost 8.5 inches long. And you get these two long dies plus the scalloped edges. I'm going to be using this one today. And we also have these slim line envelopes. And you get 15 envelopes in the pack. And they come in these 3 colors. And they are decorated. So this is basic white, smoky slate, and soft succulent, and those are the colors that I'm using in this card. My ink is soft succulent and the white crafting ink. I have some white embossing powder. This comes in a set with the classics Stampin' Emboss powders, and I think you get black, white, and clear. So this is my old white. I've got some of this lovely white, they call this white frayed ribbon, and it's 3/4 inch wide. My card base is 7 1/4 by 8.5, and it's scored, I have to check my notes, it's scored at 3 5/8. I also have some smoky slate and some vellum, and I'll show you this vellum in a minute. These pieces are both 8 3/16 by 3 3/16. And those are the little tiny markings on your Stampin' Trimmer. This vellum, you get 2 sheets of this. Let me see if I can show it to you better. This has like script that is in squares. So it's black on clear vellum. And you get 2 sheets of white, the same pattern. Let me hold it up over here so you get the same pattern, white on the vellum. You have 2 sheets of the black printed. I'll have to look up, this looks like it's from a book about the Vanderbilts. I don't know. And you get black, and then you also get the same thing on white. And then you get 2 white printed maps. And I did look this up. I looked up some of the locations here, and I found that it is in Pennsylvania. And we're using the black printed in Pennsylvania. I also have a piece of the soft succulent, and this is 8.5 by 3.5, and a piece of soft succulent that is 5/8 by 5.5. A lot of times I will pre-cut the die cuts for you, but I wanted to show you this one because it's a little bit tricky. So you need the platform, of course, and the number 2 plate. And I'm going to show you with my well-used cut-up plate, and you can see that it's getting difficult to see through. It has lots of cuts. When you're putting your cardstock on the plate, you want it it's actually going to be going all the way from one beveled edge to the other. And the die is almost that long. So you want to center it on there. Normally when I have a flat edge, I want to twist it a little bit so that you don't get quite as much pops. But you don't really have room for that. And then put a clear plate on top. And roll it through. Now I'm doing this to demonstrate my experience, and I wanted to share my experience. So even going through a second time, and of course it's cutting out perfectly this time. But frankly, I was having trouble cutting out my pieces. They didn't all cut all the way through, and if you have trouble with that, I switched to a newer plate and then had a much better time of it. When you cut this out, you're going to have this piece, and you're going to also have all of these pieces. I wanted to show you some other cards. For this card, I put this piece down, and I laid these cut pieces in like puzzle pieces and glued them down, and that way I got perfect spacing. This is a similar card to the one we're making with a designer series paper behind it and the outline part, and just one white piece. And then this was a fun one. There's a famous artist, and of course I can't think of his name either. I was going to totally look it up so I pronounced it correctly. It's similar to mandolin. It's not mandolin. And you're probably screaming at me what the correct name for this artist is. But he was famous for these graphic designs. And so what you're going to do is take this piece and just rotate it. And glue these down, and then put different color pieces behind it. And that's how I got this one. So I just wanted to show you some alternatives to the one I'm doing today. So for this card, we only need one of these. And we're going to turn this upside down, and we're going to put glue. You definitely want to put glue at the edge of each of these lines, just a dot. Because we're going to put the vellum down next, and it is probably going to go beyond the corners here. And then it will help if you put a little dot at each one of these points. And honestly, I get the smallest dots if I put the bottle down, squeeze it a little bit until I just see a little bit of glue, and then release it, and it actually sucks a little bit of the glue back in. So you don't really use very much glue. If your dots are a little bit larger than mine, if you give it a minute to dry, it will be helpful. And then put the vellum print side down, and you get this little tiny border you can see. And a little bit more glue, but this glue is also going to go where the cardstock is so that it won't show on the front of your card, but you don't have to be quite as careful. And this piece goes right directly on the vellum, and it should be the same size as the vellum. We can go ahead and put this on with dimensionals. And I just noticed that my initial one I used the white printing instead of the black printing. Either one works just fine. But I did like my arrows going that way at the top of the card. I actually think that this shows up better. What do you think? For my stamping, I'm going to stamp Happy Birthday in the craft ink. And I'm stamping that in the middle of the strip. I'm pulling in a piece of scratch paper to catch my powder. Sprinkle that on, flick off the extra. If you have plenty of space in your craft room, you might want to keep your stamp and embossing powder in like a flat sealable plastic container, maybe even with a small plastic spoon in it. And I'm going to use the heat tool to heat emboss this. It's noisy, but you can see, I don't know if you can see in the video, that this is kind of up close that you can see it. It's actually a powder matte look to it. It takes the heat tool a few minutes to heat up. It's kind of like a blow dryer, but it doesn't blow nearly as much as a blow dryer, and it does get hotter, and it melts the powder. Then it gets shiny and whiter. And it does get hot, so you want to keep it from blowing towards your fingers. And I also want to use soft succulent ink. I didn't stamp this on my sample, but I am going to stamp "You Are Really Fabulous." And I think I want to stamp that. Maybe I'll stamp that on the left side here. Going to trim this at an angle. The angle that you use is up to you, but you can use the same piece to get the same angle, so it's the same on both sides. Up to you. Doesn't have to be precise, really. I am going to suggest that tear and tape might be the best choice here. I tend not to use the liquid glue for ribbon. The Stampin' Seal Plus might work just fine. But I'm going to put this on my ribbon. And then I can trim it easily to be at the same angle. And then, since I've got the tear and tape out, I might as well use the same thing for adhering it to my card. And on this card, I used the gray dots. I might even use the very vanilla on this, or the white, or the black. I'm not sure. What do you think? You could really use any of these colors. I think I will use the white. And it looks like I should have used my cardstock to line that up again. And there it is. Do you like the white printing or the black printing better? Here is the web address for this project, where you'll find the free directions and links for the products I used. You can click individual products or the Add All to the cart. You will be able to remove products you don't need or add more products. I have lots of resources on my website. Most of them are free. It's easy to miss some of those resources or to get lost exploring. Let me take you on a quick tour. Just under the banner image are 6 links. Under Shop, you'll find links to the products from Bev, shopping strategies, my frequent shopping points, and a sampling from the clearance rack. Under Inspiration, you can link to scroll all of my projects since 2011. The products may be retired, but you may be inspired by a layout, color combination, or a technique. I have the basics, where I've written about stamps, ink and paper, cutting, adhesives, and my favorite tools. You'll find a link to Techie Tips and an easy link back to my latest post. Click on Getting Organized, and you'll find some of my resources for stamp case slips, product labels, large labels for designer series paper, and more. Case inserts for dies, embellishments, and anything I think might fit in a stamp case, including ink refills. You'll also find color tools and charts, a practically free stamp pad storage solution, tabs and a quick reference for the annual catalog, and plans for toolkits. I have a video of my craft wall and more. Click on Evernote Current Products and you can learn how to share my notebook. This notebook has a note for every current product from Stampin' Up! It allows you to search by color, image, product type, word, phrase, or event, and more. I include French, German, and Dutch names and numbers when available, and the prices for all the markets. Evernote synchronizes on your phone, tablet, and or your desktop or laptop computer, so you can look through the Stampin' Up! Catalog from anywhere, anytime. You can copy my notes for the products you own so you can find just what you're looking for. When products retire, I move them to the Retired Products Notebook, which I also share, and I host a notebook for Paper Pumpkin. Click on Sip Together and then Let's Stamp to come stamp with me or join my Sip Together team. There's also a link to learn a bit about me. The sitemap will help you navigate all these links from one page. And there are quick links along the side of my page. Shop Now takes you to my online store at Stampin' Up! You'll see the current host code. It would be a great help to me if you use that if you are ordering less than $150. You can click on the current catalogs to page through them online. And I've got a link to a color lab to get color combinations. And then there are my links to my 5 most recent posts. Thank you very much for stopping by and hope to see you soon.